During the 60s, racial tension was high because of developments in the case for civil rights. In Baltimore, this tension, further provoked by Martin Luther King's assassination, caused mass rioting in the city.
In Baltimore, when I was in college, probably 1968 or 69, an incident happened, or incidents, which probably made the national news and attention. It was the racial riots in the city of Baltimore. I didn't live in the city. I lived in Baltimore, but Baltimore County, probably about 25 miles from where these riots happened. It was on the news, and the city was kind of tense. It made the headlines. And although I never saw this myself, how I probably know best is because I had a cousin that was my age exactly, who was a Baltimore City policeman. And we would talk, he would come over, we would chat, and he would say, well, I rounded up 12 people in the paddy wagon or whatever during these riots. Also, I knew about this after the fact because I was student teaching in the city, and as I would take the bus later, I would see the row houses and the tenement houses, you'd say, boarded up and uninhabitable, or places burned. If you don't know what a row house is, I guess today you might call it, if it were really spruced up, a townhouse. It's a building that has one house next to the other so that there's a common wall on both sides. Obviously, it has to end somewhere, so somebody has their own wall at the end. But most people don't have their own wall. It's a common wall on both sides. So anyway, I would see these areas of town boarded up or that had been burned, obviously. And another way I guess I knew about how the fact that these riots happened is as I was teaching in the city, student teaching, I was still in college, some of the kids would be, well, I was the only white person, first of all. Maybe there were one or two other college students with me that were Caucasian, but most everybody was black. It was a black school in the inner city is what we called it. And one child, this was first grade, came up when I was telling a story and like touched my skin and rubbed my skin to feel it, because I think he said something about my color or how it felt too. He was just not used to being close to a white person, and he just wanted to feel what it felt like. Those are really my only recollections of the Baltimore riots. I can't really think of anything else to tell you. I guess the people really wanted better rights, civil rights, probably better housing, probably more equitable treatment in the marketplace and employment. And I believe it also was summer. Usually riots, I think historically, happen more often in the summer when it's hot. People don't have air conditioning, or they're outside and they get warm. And this happens in Baltimore a lot, or it did then. They would open up the water hydrants somehow, and the kids would just splash like it was a pool, and the water would be going on full force. And that was their little inner city slide park that you would have today. So I guess this and other riots, in a way, accomplished something. Just like the civil rights marches with Martin Luther King and those marches in Montgomery, Alabama, and accomplished something. I'm sorry that cars had to be flipped over and burned, and that houses had to be destroyed at no doubt the taxpayers' expense, but this is just something that happened in history. And it was interesting to me that my cousin was right there in the midst of it, telling me about it firsthand.